Ancient Egypt. You think of these towering pyramids, these legendary pharaohs. Their names just echo through time, right? Tutankhamun, Cleopatra, Ramses. But what if I told you that beneath all those golden masks and incredible monuments, an entire dynasty of rulers was pretty much erased from history?
Just think about that for a second. A whole line of kings who sat on the throne, who kept their culture's flame alive when everything was falling apart, but they left behind almost no giant statues, no epic stories. They are the mystery of Egypt's ghost pharaohs. And to find them, we've got to look in the shadows.
And to do that, we have to go back to a really messy time, a fractured era in Egyptian history called the Second Intermediate Period. Now, this was not the unified, powerful Egypt you see on postcards. This was a kingdom totally divided against itself.
I mean, Egypt at this time was literally a nation split in two. Up in the north, you had these guys called the Hyksos. They were foreign rulers who'd swooped in and taken control from the capital, Memphis. But way down south, in the traditional heartland of Upper Egypt, native Egyptian pharaohs were still holding on, ruling from the great city of Thebes.
And it's right here, around 1650 BCE, that our story really kicks off. For about 70 years, the 16th Dynasty manages to carve out its own little kingdom in Thebes. Now, on the grand timeline of Egypt, that's just a blip. It was a short, shaky reign that eventually just got absorbed by the next line of rulers, the 17th Dynasty.
So, what did it even mean to be a pharaoh at a time like this? Well, it was complicated. These weren't the all-powerful god kings of a united empire. Nope, these were kings who were basically just fighting to survive in the shadow of a foreign superpower.
You can see the power imbalance so clearly right here. The Hyksos up north, they had the military muscle, they controlled the money and the trade routes. The Theban pharaohs, on the other hand, were just local rulers. Historians still argue about their exact status. Were they basically paying tribute to the Hyksos, or were they their own separate kingdom? Either way, their whole world had narrowed down to one single crucial mission: just keep native Egyptian traditions alive.
So, who were these pharaohs? This is where the mystery really gets deep. Their records are so hard to come by, and historians even debate their names. They really are like ghosts in the grand story of Egypt.
We have names, sure, etched into those iconic oval cartouches that framed a pharaoh's name: Nebi-Rayau, Jehudi, Mentuhotep VI, but they feel more like whispers than proclamations. You have to forget that whole idea of pharaohs commanding huge armies across the world. These were local kings, and their power probably didn't stretch much further than the city walls of Thebes.
Their legacy is one of obscure names and ephemeral reigns. It's just a perfect way to put it. Their time in the sun was so fleeting, and history, which, let's be honest, is usually written by the biggest winners, barely even noticed they were there.
And this limited political power? Well, it had a direct, very visible impact on what they left behind, or maybe more importantly, what they didn't leave behind.
I mean, think about it. When you're just trying to hang on, fighting for survival with barely any resources, you're not building colossal statues or massive temple complexes. Your whole focus just shifts from grandeur to just holding on. The art from this period tells you everything you need to know. We see much simpler coffins, less fancy stone markers, and artifacts made with, frankly, lower quality materials. The goal here wasn't to be grand. It was all about continuity. It was about preserving the very soul of what it meant to be Egyptian, using whatever little they had. So when you piece it all together, what do you see? You see a picture of decline and silence. Very few big buildings, almost no royal tombs ever found, and records that are just frustratingly thin. Yeah, they kept the traditions going, but it was on a much, much smaller scale. But, and this is a huge but, this is where the entire story flips on its head. It's so easy to just write them off as a footnote, a failed dynasty. But if you do that, you're missing their true, absolutely vital importance. They weren't an ending. They were a bridge. This is their hidden legacy. We'll call it the Theban spark. While the entire north was under foreign rule, these kings stubbornly, quietly guarded the heart of Egyptian identity in the south. They kept the temples running, they maintained the very idea of a native pharaoh, and they made sure Thebes remained this beacon of pure Egyptian tradition. And by keeping that flame alive, they basically set the stage for everything that came next. The next dynasty, the 17th, rose up from this very same Theban power base. And it was this new dynasty that finally found the strength to march north, kick out the Hyksos, and reunite all of Egypt. That move kicked off the glorious New Kingdom. We're talking the age of King Tut and Ramesses the Great.
You could boil their entire legacy down to this one idea. They laid the foundation for a Theban resurgence. Without their quiet, stubborn survival, there would have been no foundation to build on. The whole epic history of the New Kingdom might never have even happened. So, the story of these ghost pharaohs really leaves us with a fascinating question. We always celebrate the big conquerors, right? The great builders. But how often is it the quiet, tenacious survivors, the ones who just refuse to let the flame go out, who are the real engines of history?